Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, Welcome to episode number 8 of the Unboxing AI webinar series. This is every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Uh, we at CARPL.ai call some of our friends, collaborators, family onto this Zoom platform and basically ask them a bunch of interesting questions about the industry and their work. For those of you who may not know, CARPL is a new category of imaging informatics software called Enterprise Imaging AI Platform. We are nothing but the interconnecting layer that sits between healthcare providers and developers of AI algorithms, essentially making it trivial to access, assess, and then integrate these AI solutions into your workflows. Today, we are privileged to be joined by a very close partner, both commercial and drinking, Cyril. Cyril Di Grandi serves as the Chief Executive Officer for Avicenna.ai. Avicenna, I'm sure many of you know, is one of the world's leaders in ER-related AI, especially focused on CT. Uh, we have a lot of respect for Cyril, for Avicenna for sure, but also because of what he did in the past. Prior to Avicenna, he was the chief technology officer for Olia Medical. Olia, again, platform company, one of the most amazing viewers out there. So thank you, Cyril, for taking out the time. I know it's afternoon in France, so thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you for the invitation and for our collaboration and the amazing parties we had together. Yes, so I'm the CEO of Avicenna.ai. Also, I was a software engineer by training. I used to work in the military industry for many years, even if I look young. And then we decided with my close friends to create Olia Medical and to work and try to save life instead of trying to kill people. Very interesting field since 2008. We learned a lot from the radiology space, and when AI was now a real and concrete technology that we can use in this field, yes, I decided to create a new company, Avicenna.ai, and to mainly focus on emergency, as you said, and incidental findings detection on CT.
So, Cyril, that is very interesting. I will not stick to the script that we had decided
Okay.
and instead go other ways. What did you do in the military? What AI were you building, like software, or what was it?
Yeah. I was a software architect, so writing code and to build software. So in the combat management system, so a lot of cartography, a lot of interoperability with different systems for aircraft or for big boats, big ships. So I think that's where I learned I learned about the latest technology, the processes, the high quality, the requirements, and so on. In fact, the main difference I noticed between the software for military and software for medical imaging was the risk management, which is on top of what I learned and I used to do for military industry at this time.
So, Cyril, that's so interesting because generally, whenever we somehow interestingly, I didn't know that you did this prior to Olia, uh, and that is why this is all very like authentic. Uh, Whenever we talk about healthcare AI, we say how it is high implication AI, right? And most, I know I'm making a very general statement, but most engineers who come into healthcare don't come in from high implication settings, right? Uh, it's like generally computer vision, so like your consumer tech, etc. It's fine, if Instagram's AI makes a mistake here or there, it really doesn't matter. But how? Uh, but is that true? Then is military also like are AI models there also high implication? Like what happens if your combat management system goes wrong? Like what happens in that situation?
Mm, So to be completely honest with you, when I left the military industry, AI was not there yet. But
Yes.
in terms of high availability, I mean, I remember the time we were spending to qualify a product. It was 1 year of
Oh,
testing,
wow.
1 year to because I mean lives are behind. You have a pilot in the aircraft. Some people are using weapons. I mean, this is a very important topic, even if I mean we don't like the purpose. At the end, this is a very I mean the requirements and of the customers behind, of the users behind are very high
Hmm.
and very strict.
Very interesting. That just makes sense now because I believe you are also the only like the AI company, imaging AI company from Europe that has most US FDA approvals. And now it
Yes,
makes sense because that your DNA is quality, right? Like product quality and testing. So it
exactly.
just makes so much sense. So can you talk a little bit about that, Cyril? And I know I'm going completely off script, but uh,
I love it.
we've observed as a platform that somehow in Europe there are a lot of AI startups, right? Imaging AI, healthcare AI startups. Why is that the case? Like, if I was to see like number of startups out of France is probably more than uh, yeah, like population adjusted, certainly more than the US, right? So
Yeah, yeah, for
why do you
sure.
think why is Europe such a hotbed for what happens in Europe that doesn't happen elsewhere?
So I will imagine I don't have statistics to support my point of view, but I think it's because most of the countries individually try to push for to have our own,
Mm,
development. So we saw at the early beginning a lot of grants, a lot of support from the governments to support different initiatives to say, okay, France will be one of the leader of AI. Israel and China and US are started before us, but we want to move forward and to support our research or to support our entrepreneurs. So we see also on the European um, state or the European funds also try to push that. So yeah, I guess each individual country try to have their own initiative on AI and yeah, and
interesting.
it's
So it's almost like there is internal competition within
I
Europe
guess yes.
to be the best, and thereby there is this support system. There was another interesting hypothesis I was discussing with someone, and they said that if you are, say, a machine learning engineer from a top PhD program in the US, more often than not, the Facebook, Amazon, Googles of the world, Microsoft of the world will pick you up, right? And then you're absorbed in
Yeah,
that ecosystem, and there is no opportunity to actually go and work at a startup, right? Whereas I think both in India and Europe in general, um, we don't have like the big core research R&D centers for these. While we do, but most like it's not the level that it's there in the US, and that's why the best people like in our countries maybe end up joining healthcare, and that's why we are able to do what we are able to do. I don't know, what do you think that's true,
yeah.
or
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I didn't see a lot of my people leaving France or Europe to go to US. Like it was not we didn't see a bridge between the two
yeah.
countries. I guess they wanted to stay in France. No, it makes sense.
Mm.
We don't have a a big industry absorbing all the machine learning engineer.
Yeah.
It's spread into different industry, and maybe you're right. There's enough space for people to think that they could do something.
No, interesting. So coming back to track, Cyril, can you tell me a little bit about uh, you know, what are Avicenna's algorithms? And I know that you have chosen CT and that to emergency radiology as a as a focus point. And
Yeah.
on the webinar we have a few clinicians also who've joined in from. There's Dr. Anjali Agarwal, who's like one of the leading ER radiologists in this part of the world, and then Avnish is there, Khare, who's also an ER emergency physician. So would love to hear from you why you chose ER, and in that context, like what does Avicenna do?
Yeah, we choose. So it's again when I created, I co-founded Avicenna. I worked. My co-founder is Peter Chang, a neuroradiologist at UCI in California, and also expert in deep learning. And for him, so when we founded the company, it was the beginning of the story. I mean, we didn't know what would be the market, what would be the killer apps in the future in this field. And we saw emergency as, I mean, with AI, and it's fully automatic, right? So you provide the images, and thanks to deep learning, you can, the result would be suspected findings for something. Fully automatic, 24 hours, 7 days per week. So we saw different values, different benefits of focusing on emergency. Of course, you increase your accuracy, you reduce the false negative, but also you can save time, and time is critical for emergencies, especially for stroke, for ICH, intracranial hemorrhage. So that was the idea, to say what has the most value, and we pick up this specific topic to say, okay, let's try to be focused on one specific area where we try to build everything we can to support the radiologist in this. So we build we started with the brain and say, okay, if it's a brain emergency, it's going to be intracranial hemorrhage or ischemic stroke. So let's build ICH detection, large vessel occlusion detection, aspect score to support the assessment of stroke patient. Then we move to the chest and say, okay, the triple rollout. I mean, cardiac is already managed by other software. Say pulmonary embolysis and aortic dissection. We should build this package, and that's how we build our roadmap. Also, we're working with a lot of doctors. And if you remember back to 2018, radiologists were afraid of AI. So it's like, they're going to try to replace us and so on. And when we were talking to radiologists, when it's about emergency, well, AI could be it could be okay, because it's during night shift, during the weekend. I'm not a specialist of the brain, so if the neural cases is coming, I'm a bit I'm not comfortable to read those cases. So general radiologists are always struggling with this type of cases where they are difficult. Experts are not available 24 hours, 7 days per week. So it was for us, an interesting topic. And we see now, after a few years, that maybe X-ray and bone fracture or X-ray of the chest in emergency are the first choice with mammography and non-nodule. When the radiologists are looking for AI, and then the second phase are most likely emergency portfolio.
So Cyril, just on that point, we've noticed that in the US and especially in the US, there's a lot of emphasis on a pan scan, which is basically like almost a whole body CT done in trauma kind of situations. Any plans of automating that, or maybe
Yes.
even like the acute abdomen, appendicitis, pancreatitis, renal stones, etc. Any plans of that?
Yeah. Our goal is again. You saw that lately we had 3 new FDA approved applications. So now our strategy is to build up to 6 application FDA cleared application per year. So C-spine fracture will be released soon, and then we will move to polytrauma cases to be able to detect hair, blood, bones, bone fracture on CT. To be again to cover all the needs, all the emergency needs for the radiologist, the checklist.
Yeah. So how do you do this, Cyril? How do you, and I know we were joking about this a while ago, but how do you do this six algorithms per year? Do you do a foundational model?
Very good question. So that's interesting because I think
for our listeners, Cyril, for our listeners,
yeah,
what is a foundational model? And, if you could just start from there and then explain, does it fit into your strategy? Yes, no. What do you think about it?
yeah. So foundation model is a kind of, it's very popular since ChatGPT. Is when you take a very large amount of data, non-labeled data. So what ChatGPT did is they took all the existing text in the world without asking any permission, but that's okay. And they start to build an unsupervised model based on that. And things are popping up. I mean, it's unlabeled data and trained on a specific neural network architecture. So we don't use foundation model, but we use something similar. But we didn't start to work on it last winter, as my friend in the field, because I think supervised learning. So supervised learning is what we are doing now. We take data, we annotate the data. So we have, for example, for ICH detection, we had to label manually 10,000 cases. Each individual slice, annotate all the hemorrhage on those slices and so on. But it's not sustainable for a company because it requires a lot of resources, a lot of energy, and as you asked before, if you want to support the radiologist and to detect every disease in the polytrauma cases for the whole body, but it's going to cost, I don't know, 50 million, 30 million. And to expect a return on investment on this is going to take years, and maybe it's even not possible. So since day one at Avicenna, we think that the unsupervised learning approach is something that we should dive into. I saw some initiative right now where people are mixing reports and images and expect that something will be trained by a magic and provide something. I really think it doesn't work because there is not, in this field, it's what we call a weak label. I mean, a report in front of, I don't know, 1,000 images. It's almost impossible for the network to learn something, to do the link between the one word and where it is in images. Or if you have, I don't know, 100 million of cases and reports and all this is accurate, maybe you can expect to have something. So from what I know on the technical side of things, it's not going to bring any value. But what we are doing is to train some unsupervised learning model to be able to simplify the whole process from what we are doing now. So we are mixing supervised learning and unsupervised learning, and so the whole development and the whole pipeline of processing is very much more efficient. And now we are able to train some algorithm very specific for very specific disease with a few hundreds of cases.
Oh, that is very interesting. So it's almost like a fine-tuning kind of approach, right? Where
yeah, kind of. Yes, exactly.
Interesting. So I think there are people out there, right, who are trying to find like a million scan scan report combinations, and then so just brute force, throw compute at it, and then give like the a million first scan and then expect a report to pop out. But you feel mathematically that won't work.
Again, I would be very humble with that, but my point of view is that it's not going to work. It's so difficult to. I will take an example of the pulmonary embolysis detection. It's very difficult. It's a very small finding. You have to track the vessel to find the occlusion to be sure that it's in an artery, not in a vein. So how you can imagine that one model that has been trained only with reports and is very generalized could work to find this and to bring, again, it can work to maybe fill 50% of the report with a good result, but 50% of the report will be, sorry for the word, bullshit. And so what kind of value it's going to bring if the radiologists have to correct everything? Maybe it can work, it could work on X-ray because it's one single image. So maybe it can bring something, but I don't think so.
Yeah. No, that will be very interesting to see how these translate, Cyril, right? Like it's everybody's working on vision models nowadays, so let's see. But just switching tracks, right? We are almost out of time. Also, to folks who are listening in, any questions you have, please feel free to use the Q&A, the chat, whatever it is that you would like. Just switching tracks to the commercial side of things, Cyril. I know that Avicenna as a company has been very channel first, right? You've had some. Would love to hear from you on your partnerships with equipment vendors, platforms such as us. I'm not hesitant to call out that we are, just starting our journey in that sense. But would just love to hear your opinion on how it's been to work through, these various types of channels, because many folks who are building startups also tune into this later on YouTube, etc. So, your experience there would be very valuable.
Sure. Yes, we have 16 different distributors and partners around the world. We work with, so we have no competitor because we are working with everyone. And so the most successful one were the white label. So maybe some of people will watch this video. They even don't know that they are using Avicenna's algorithm because it's under the brand and on the other vendor. I think platform brings a lot of value, especially if the platform is investing into something more than just the technical glue. If it's just about integration into the and interoperability into the hospital to bring the DICOM and to get the DICOM results back. I mean, it's interesting, but it's just a baby step, and that's something very easy to do. Now, when you bring scalability, you bring security, cybersecurity, you bring also tools to monitor the behavior of the AI tools. Also, viewers, I know that you guys just got the approval for, and congratulations about that.
Thank you.
For your platform. I mean, that's where me as a AI engine provider, that's where I expect my partner to help me. I don't want to develop my own technical glue. I don't want to develop my own viewer. And I would love to see my customers. We have more than 250 hospitals, paying hospitals as customers right now. If you can bring them the ways to monitor how my algorithms are behaving, that creates a lot of value for us and for the customers.
And that is fantastic. We've just got a question, Cyril, from somebody who does not want to tell us their name. How does the performance of CNA-PE compare with traditional methods of detecting PEs on CT angios?
So I don't remember by heart the specificity and sensitivity. I know we are above 92%. I think it's available on the FDA summary. Sorry about that. But it's yeah, I mean, it's very good, and it brings enough value for our customers to love the product. As I said,
What is the threshold, Cyril? Like, what is a minimum? Is there a threshold at all? Like, how do you think about it? Like, what is good enough?
I mean, it depends. I would say it's a compromise, and what we are doing is always a compromise. It depends on the incidence of the disease. So it's always a balance between bringing enough sensitivity to help the physician not to miss some cases, because you're going to work. You have a second look on all your cases, and so the AI will help to say, okay, this. And I have a very nice story about that if I have time to say it.
Please go for it.
So it's a well-known hospital, 5 p.m. Friday evening. The radiologist already left, and so I think it's an intern, not an expert. And a young patient, a woman, I think she was pregnant, were admitted for suspicion of PE, and the radiologist there said it's negative, and our software pop up and say positive. And the story, so I heard it from not from the resident, but from the radiologist, saying it just saved the life of the woman, because otherwise the case would be reviewed on the next Monday morning by the expert. So yes, so I see that Stephanie just bring the numbers. So that's where it's very important. On the other side, you need to have enough specificity not to create a lot of false positive, and to load the radiologist with a lot of false positives. And so it has to bring enough value, and to also have a minimum of false positive.
I think that's very interesting, right, Cyril? There's actually three ends to this triangle, right? Price, value, performance, right? You can't look at any of them in isolation. You have to look at it. So we are almost at time, Cyril. The last question, I will stick at least one question, I'll stick to the script. You know, if I am a young engineer, if I am a young data scientist, what would be advice that you would give to me that that would kind of push me in the right direction as far as healthcare technology or healthcare AI is? Like, or what do you wish you had known in 2008 when you switched from military software to healthcare software? What is something you wish you had known?
That it creates a lot of, I mean, if you want to be proud of what you are doing, and if you want to go back to your home, even if when you are tired, even if you had a tough day, even if you don't have the results you expected, when you hear one of these stories that what you did just saved one life, you can be proud of what you are doing, and it's something. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not that old, but I can tell to the young people, do something that makes you proud of what you are doing. So I say healthcare is one of the topics that can bring this feeling. And I'm very happy that I switched from military to, even if sometimes military is important, but when I hear these kind of stories, I can tell you that me, and especially my team, I'm proud of my team, and I'm very proud of what we are doing.
No, that is fantastic. We'll take this one last question from Dr. Anjali. Would it be a good idea to have two tools working in tandem, one with high sensitivity as triage, and then with high specificity to ensure that false positives are minimized? Is that how platforms like CARPL are putting out these tools for ER practice? So, final thoughts on that, Cyril, then we close.
Yeah, I think basically, thank you for the question. That's exactly what we are doing inside our tool. So we have a first step, which is high sensitivity, we call RPN, and the second one, which is false positive reduction, which is high specificity. with high specificity, and the combination is a nice balance to bring enough value. But because the problem is when you expect a high sensitivity, you're gonna have a lot of false positive, and so if it's used as a triage tool, I mean, 50% of the cases will be flagged as positive, and I think, but yes, again, it's a very.
I get it. I understand. Yes, it's. I think it's permutations and combinations. Well, thank you,
Yes.
Cyril. We try to stick to time. There is one question that is unanswered on consolidation of AI vendors. We will answer that on our LinkedIn community, the Unboxing AI community. But thank you so much, Cyril. This means the world. Thank you to everybody who joined. And be proud of what you do is my
Thank you very
takeaway.
much.
So thank you,
Yes.
Cyril. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for
Deeply
the invitation.
appreciate it.